I know, right?
All right, ladybugs, girl gossip is over. Let's get to the park. It's getting dark.
Okay, Daddy.
There are so many petty people in the world today.
You should know. You're chief petty officer of all of them.
Look who's talking. You're being petty right now.
Wait, let's just be real. Everybody can find something petty to talk about.
But the one thing we shouldn't treat as small or petty is people with disabilities.
You mean people with different abilities. I'm not being petty. I'm just being fair.
Right. Some disabilities are obvious.
Like walking with the mobility cane or using a wheelchair.
Some different abilities are not obvious.
Yeah, some people have anxiety, OCD, eating disorders.
Just like some of the talented members of Atumpan Dance Theater who helped to narrate this video you're about to watch.
And please watch it all the way through.
I'm Corey. I've been blind since the age of 19, but I'm still an educator, a musician, a storyteller. I graduated summa cum laude from Old Dominion University with a degree in interpersonal communications, and that's helped me to develop the programming that we do with Atumpan Entertainment.
And I'm Laquita Marie. I have been a nurse for the past 25 years. I have been a storyteller with Atumpan Edutainment, the organization that Corey and I co-founded back in 1998. So from 1998 until now, we've had a great time educating people around the country and internationally through some of our digital projects, which are displayed here. So we'll get more into that and tell you a little bit about how we do what we do.
Atumpan Edutainment has two components, Atumpan Ed, which is short for Atumpan Education, and Atumpan Live. We use shared power, create shared power within these environments of creating educational content through Atumpan Ed and do live presentations for Atumpan Live. This means that we incorporate our 3 R's that we're going to share with you so that you can create accessibility within your organization. And the 3 R's are?
Well, the first one is to recognize the importance of equitable access for people with different abilities.
The next one is to reconsider the terms of being differently able as opposed to being disabled. So that leads right into what you just said to what this next R is. Reconsider what it means to be differently able as opposed to being disabled. When you think in those terms, you can think outside the box of what people can't do and more in terms of what they can do when you consider them as differently able.
Oh, sort of like you and I are both differently abled. I can see, you cannot see. You can throw a ball in a straight line to a person across from you. I can't.
That leads to the 3rd R, which means relate. Find ways to relate to your audience and to the people engaging in your different physical or digital environments.
So Corey, let's give an example of how we relate to others in physical and digital spaces, how we consider how we address people, as different rather than disabled, and how we consider everyone's value.
Sir, your resume is outstanding, they say with a smile. Then their faces become stern. They clear their throats and then they say, but your blindness raises some concerns. Will you be able to scurry to work on time? Like all the other mice? How will you know which piece of cheese you just tasted without tasting it twice? There's no room for errors in our line of work, and certainly we can't put Braille on each piece of cheese for you. Maybe you should try positioning our mousetrap testing department. In fact, the position just came open for you. I got the blues. I got the down out and disabled blues. Oh, Lord, this life is an unfair shame. Folks can't see past my glasses and white cane. I don't know what else I ought. All right, now listen, Wolf Mama. I tried to get the 2 pigs, but they got away. I promise I did try. I tried my best. No, listen. I'm tired of your excuses. I don't want to hear it.
She-wolf has pride and I sure hate to beg when I'm hungry. But this family's standing on its last leg, we're so hungry. My life's a fairy tale, but this is no lie. I can't stand hearing my hungry pups cry. How can you better look your family in the eye when they're hungry? What else can I do when my wolf pack needs food and we're hungry? I've been out hunting all day, ain't caught nothing, we're hungry. The fridge shelves are bare and the freezer is low. We got no money, no moolah, no dough to go out and buy some food from the store, we're hungry. Did you ask your sister if she buried some bones, cause we're hungry? I tried to call her, but she was not home.
To recognize, Corey and Laquita created, funded, and organized the camp once they recognized a need for fair and equitable treatment of people like Corey, who were differently abled. Reconsider. These instructors considered and encouraged the campers they had. Keisha Trower instructed theater, Whitney O'Neill props and set design, Denard Daniels choreography. Relate to your audience by using the resources that you have to get the job done. Michael Edmonds of Edmonds Photographia helped us to get our digital work done. Jan House helped us to secure volunteers in the space we were in at the Addicts Theater.
So that's how we've been able to incorporate those 3 R's of recognizing the importance of accessibility, of reconsidering people as differently able and not disabled, and relating to them in physical environments and in digital spaces. And whether that's been through our professional development workshops that we presented for places like the National Space Consortium for Science Educators, whether that's been a lecture series for the Tryon Palace in New Bern, North Carolina, or even our own YouTube channel called Blind Guy, His Life, Their Life. We have recognized, we have reconsidered, and we have related with people on different levels. And now we want to share that with you so that you can create an accessible environment for your organization. Let's jump right into it.
Accessibility equals equity.
July 26, 1990. The federal government legally addresses the marginalization of people who are differently abled. President George H.W. Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, better known as the ADA, into law. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, was written to guarantee that people with different abilities have reasonable accommodations to assist them in participating in mainstream society. Provisions made by the ADA included fair employment practices for qualified individuals with different abilities, access to public transportation such as having wheelchair accessibility city buses, provisions for ramps and elevators for equitable access to public sidewalks and buildings, accommodation for service animals for Braille in places like retail stores or restaurants, closed captioning on television programs for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. Here is where we encounter the first R of recognizing the importance of benefits of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, accessibility accommodations. ADA accommodations were designed to level the playing field for people with different abilities. These accommodations also have the added benefit of making life easier for people who do not have disabilities. Consider the following questions.
Have you ever used a push-button electronic door to enter a building because your hands were too full?
Have you ever pushed a shopping cart through automatic electronic doors at the store?
Have you ever pushed the stroller up a wheelchair curb cut on the sidewalk? Or have you ever pushed a cart up a wheel ramp at an office building? Do you use closed captioning when watching a video because you can't understand a person speaking?
How about when you can't hear
a video you are watching in a noisy place?
Have you ever turned to catch the elevator behind you because you heard the elevator bell ring?
We have all used ADA accommodations that are designed to help people with mobility challenges who are blind or vision impaired, deaf, or hard of hearing. Recognize that accessibility is not just about helping people who are differently able. Accessibility is about creating an equitable environment with accommodations that are beneficial to all people.
Everybody, it's me on one of the most trusted, most historic forms of transportation there ever was. It's called a good old bicycle. I'm about to take you for a ride, but I can't go anywhere without my GPS. Come, ready to go?
No!
Yes, you are. Here we go.
Someone please come Child Protection Services. Ah!
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Blind Guy
His wife.
and Their Life. A lot of people have questions about what is one of the toughest things I had to deal with as someone who lost their sight. And I always tell them it was the loss of my ability to travel independently, especially the day they came to snatch my license from me, Laquita. So today we're going to talk about paratransit services that I use to get around, how I register for it, how I schedule and manage that paratransit system. Let's take them for a ride. All right, you can never go anywhere without your GPS. So here's my GPS.
All right, well, let's get right into it. Let's start with the part about them taking your license, because I wasn't there. We were dating, but we weren't living together. You were at your parents' house. And I know from what you told me, was it a social worker or somebody from the Department of the Blind? They showed up at your house, asked for your license, cut it into pieces, and then put it in an envelope that you had to sign. Basically, you had to sign the envelope saying, I relinquish my license to you.
Right, and that just left me with a lot of questions, like how am I going to get around? Is Laquita going to have to take me everywhere? Are my parents going to have to take me everywhere?
I had a car, you had a car. They were like our first cars, so they were like raggedy, but we had cars.
Yes, we did. Yes, I beat up 81 citation called Daddy Lou. That was my Chevy citation. I loved it to pieces, and that got towed away too. So, yeah, that was a tough moment, real tough moment. But another caseworker from the Department for the Blind and Vision Impaired actually helped me to get in touch with paratransit services. And you want to tell them what paratransit services are?
It's an assisted way to get around town that's connected to the full bus line, but you don't have to go to bus stops. It's curb to curb service, so they will come up to your curb. They don't help you down the steps. They don't help you outside. They don't help you carry stuff. And that's it. And there is a fee for service, just like the bus system. You do have to have exact fare. And yeah, it's a transportation system that is really useful for people that have doctor's appointments, jobs, recreational activities. Our girls, you've taken them places on paratransit and they love it. So yeah, and it could be a shuttle bus, it could be a private car. It just depends on in your area. I know in our area, it's all of those things. Sometimes you have a car, so you look fancy, like with your own private car service. Sometimes it's a van, a minivan, and sometimes it's a shuttle bus.
And the thing to understand about paratransit services is that it is a rideshare system. It's not like Uber or Lyft where it's on demand. You actually have to schedule it. You actually have to apply for it. I had to apply for it when I first got started. The caseworker actually helped me to get in touch with the paratransit system and fill out the application. And so you might need to do the same thing, whether you have a loved one to do it, whether you have your Social Security Administration social worker help you do it. You're going to have some help to first get into the system.
That's true, and you definitely need help initially. Some people can manage it after themselves. Like for you, since you can go online, your computer talks, and you can navigate the website, you can do it that way, or you can call it in, which you prefer, because when you call it in, they set up your appointment for you according to your schedule. Like you'll know your work schedule for the week, and you'll just set up, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I need to be picked up from here, dropped off here, and you'll schedule your ride to work and from work for that whole week,
Right.
The same thing, like if you had a doctor's appointment, you can do that, schedule your appointment. If you have regular recreational activities, so that's cool. But for you, when you call on the phone, they set it up and then they like give you a call like 15 minutes ahead, or what's the warning?
Now it's 5 minutes. They give you a 5-minute warning. Not like football where they give you a 2-minute warning. They give you a 5-minute warning, and then they actually call you when they're outside. When they pull up, they actually call and say, your ride is here. Sometimes it's an automated voice system. Sometimes it's a live person that's calling you to tell you that your ride is there. And like you said, as far as me scheduling on the phone, I have to do it the day before I need the ride by 5 p.m. So if I need a ride on Monday, I got to schedule it on Sunday before 5 p.m. And the trick is that 30-minute window, because you know that can get us. That's been getting us for a while, but we finally got it down to the science now.
We do.
I think we do, because now I know that, okay, 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after is the time that they can show up. So if my ride is scheduled for 7:15, then they can come at 7 o'clock or they can come at 7:30. So I have to be ready to travel by 7 o'clock so that I can make sure that I don't miss my window.
But think when they see like there's somebody else that cares about you in the home, then, because the drivers kind of look out for you. I know they have notes in the system, so like for you, they have notes that you can't see. You need them to actually come out and meet you at the curb to direct you to the door.
Right.
And so that way, if somebody has like somebody with a disability or that's elderly, you know, they might look out for them too if they know, oh, they have this challenge or that challenge. I know they're not supposed to help you. Like if you got life-sustaining equipment like oxygen, feeding tube, ventilator, then you have to have somebody with you because they can't help you. They're driving and, you know.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to reach back there and turn the pump on for your feeding tube or for your ventilator if it'll suction you out because your ventilator or your trach might get clogged up. So like you said, yeah, you have to have, they call it a PCA, a personal care assistant. And that person can be anybody in your family or friendship network, and you don't have to sign that person up. You can just say, I need a PCA. So that PCA could be you one day, it could be our oldest daughter one day, it could be your mother one day, it could be my friend one day. So it doesn't matter who your PCA is. Just when you sign up for the services, you have to say, yes, I need a personal care attendant.
Do you have to pay for that person to ride?
No, you don't. You pay $3.50 for yourself to ride, the PCA, and then you can take up to 2 extra passengers with you. As long as you don't do it during rush hour or peak periods like morning rush or evening rush, you're okay to take up to three people with you.
Okay, well, I like it. You know, overall, I would definitely say it's a good system. I would definitely say it's been useful for the past 20 years. What would you say?
I really like it because, like I said, it is curb to curb. It's not like I have to play Frogger and try to cross the highway or 3 lanes of traffic to get to a bus stop that's not very convenient to my house. And I also like it because it's a dependable form of service, but it does have its flaws, but it gets me where I have to go. And I know that I don't have to put that burden on you or other family members or friends. But I do have you guys as backups in case something goes wrong, because with traffic and other things, and it being a rideshare service, it's not a flawless system, but that's okay. As long as you have a backup plan, you'll be all right. So I like the service. I think the Paratransit system is a great system to have for someone that has a disability.
Yeah, hopefully this was valuable to you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. If you're excited about this information, we hope you subscribe. We hope you like it. Share it with somebody. It could help them as well.
All right, thanks for tuning in to A Blind Guy,
His Wife,
and Their Life. Second string GPS, you're up. Come on off the bench. Let's go. All right, let's navigate.
Turn left at the corner in 800 feet.
All right,
Definitely able.
Disability or different ability. What's in the name? A lot of power is given or taken away just by how we categorize those who are different.
This is where we encounter our second R. Reconsidering the terms that we use when thinking or speaking about other people who have a physical or cognitive difference.
To say someone has a disability or is disabled places the focus on the person's limitations, which can lead to marginalization. Differently able shifts the focus from what a person cannot do and what they can do when they are in the right environment.
Reconsidering what a person with different abilities can do when given the proper accommodations can help us address barriers to equitable access when we construct environments such as
Classrooms,
Entrances to buildings,
The design of an office space.
or a web page design.
Disabled or different abilities helps us to reconsider different physical, psychological, or cognitive traits that are found within us all. Each different ability may require certain levels of accommodations that allow people to function efficiently in the different environments they may find themselves in. What does a disability look like? You decide. Watch the video clips and look at the sketches. Who can you identify as having a disability? Watch the clips and look at the sketches again with the term different abilities in mind. Who can you identify as differently abled? The answer is that everybody is differently abled. Differently abled might mean that a person uses a wheelchair, hearing aids, a blind mobility cane, were born with gastrointestinal concerns, dyslexia, or they may even have ADHD. Differently abled might also mean a person has no rhythm for music or dance, has poor hand-eye coordination for sports, or they are not mechanically inclined. Everybody will excel or face challenges in certain environments depending on what accommodations are made available to them.
Most people would not consider someone's weight as a disability or a different ability unless they had experiences where someone's weight presented a challenge. Corey once weighed 285 pounds. When he was visiting a theme park, Corey was not able to ride one of the roller coasters because he was too large. On the other hand, Corey's 285 pounds was celebrated on the football field because it gave him a size strength advantage over smaller opponents. In our example, the common denominator was Corey's 285 pound weight. What changed was the environment Corey found himself in. At the theme park, being 285 pounds was a disability. On the football field, 285 pounds became a different ability.
Changing the narrative from disabled to differently abled may require more than just a shift in language. Here, we incorporate our third R, relating to people with different abilities. Here are some important suggestions for how you might be able to better relate to people who are differently abled as you work to create equitable access within your organizations. Create shared power through learning exchanges. Your organization's leaders can meet with people who are differently abled to ask them what accommodations are more beneficial to their specific needs. Contact companies that specialize in creating assistive technology for people with different abilities. This may provide insight into what your organization can do to make your products, services, and digital information more accessible. Hire qualified people with different abilities as part of your organization's diversity initiative. Ask qualified staff members who are differently abled to lead staff development or team building exercises. This may help shift how people perceive those who are differently abled. Incorporate role play exercises into your organization's staff development training or team building activities to help people understand what it might be like to live without a physical ability. This may also help to shift people's perceptives about being differently abled. Changing the narrative from disabled to differently abled allows us to celebrate the humanity of all people. Understanding that we are all differently abled will help us to construct equitable environments, products, and services that integrate accommodations that are beneficial to everyone.
Building equity and digital spaces.
Finding ways to relate to people who are differently able can be extended to the digital environments your organization creates. Your organization's digital environment includes websites, video content, and social media platforms. It also includes any digital information that you include in these spaces, such as documents created as PDF files, PowerPoint slides, or as documents scanned as images. People who are differently able may enter your organization's digital environment by using assistive computer technology or adaptive computer controls. Some computer users who are blind or who have learning differences like dyslexia may rely on assistive screen reading software like Freedom Scientific's Job Access with Speech, JAWS, or Microsoft Narrator program. Some computer users may use adaptive keyboard commands or rely on hotkeys because they cannot maneuver a mouse. You may be able to improve equitable access to information in your organization's digital environment by including the following considerations. Create documents in your digital environment as Word files or enriched text format. Adaptive screen reader programs like JAWS or Microsoft Narrator can read information created in Word or rich text format to computer users who are differently able. Create tables as Microsoft Excel files. Some computer users who are differently able use keyboard stroke commands like Control, Alt, down arrow to access information in Excel files. Create descriptive paragraphs or captions for photos, tables, or graphs in Word or rich text format. This will allow adaptive screen reader software to read the information displayed in the photo or chart to a person who is differently able. Create text-based links for actionable items on your organization's web-based content. Text links can be read by adaptive screen reader software, are accessible by both keyboard and mouse commands, can be made very descriptive for all computer users, and can increase your search engine optimization since search engines like Google base their web results on the words found on your website and not graphics. Create an abstract for each page within your digital environment. The abstract is a paragraph that describes the information the web user is about to read. This could make navigating your digital environment easier for all computer users regardless of ability. Be descriptive when using visual aids in video presentations. Verbally explain charts, photos, props, costumes, or other visual aids and how they are being used in your video presentation. This can help people of all abilities to better relate to your presentation. When designing your organization's digital environment, keep the term differently able in the forefront of your planning process. This can assist your digital content creators in presenting information in a way that promotes equitable access for everyone that enters your digital space.
How I use a talking computer to navigate the waters of life, and it's all thanks to the help of a shark. Hi, I'm Corey, the blind guy. I can't see. I lost my sight when I was 19 years old due to optic nerve damage. And I'm going to introduce you all today to a talking software program called JAWS. No, we're not talking about Jaws, the giant shark that's waiting to snack on surfers at the beach. JAWS is an acronym for Job Access with Speech, and that's a program that was created by Freedom Scientific. JAWS is a screen reader program for people who are blind like me. It gets installed on a laptop or a PC, and it allows me to read what's on the screen by turning text into speech. So if I want to type a document, if you don't recognize that line, you can tell I'm real old school. And I can also navigate the computer by using a series of keyboard commands instead of using a mouse like you do or other sighted people do. When people on my job stand over my shoulder to read something on the screen that I'm trying to show them, they're often amazed at what they see when they see me using several keyboard strokes or commands to navigate the computer that usually only requires one mouse click for someone that's sighted. And they usually find it very interesting and fascinating. So hopefully you can see the value in this for yourself because it helps you to understand how a blind person can use a talking software to navigate a computer just like anyone else. And if you found this valuable, then maybe someone else that you know will find it valuable as well. So don't forget to bum rush the buttons. That means share it with someone else. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when new videos come out. And again, I use JAWS all the time to go to our YouTube channel, and I love to hear how those subscribers are climbing, the numbers of subscribers are climbing. So again, don't forget to bum rush the buttons. So share, like, and subscribe. I'm at my desktop right now, and I'm going to go to Internet Explorer. And so I'll do that by hitting a hotkey, which is usually the first letter in the word of the application. So I'll hit I for Internet.
Internet Explorer.
And that takes me to Internet Explorer.
Enter. Google-Internet Explorer. Region search edit. Type in text.
Now I'm in the search field of Google. So I'm going to type in Virginia Zoo.
O-R-F-O-L-K. Enter. New tab page. Google search buttons at Gmail.
Now Google has pulled up search results, but I pull them up in what's called a link box. So I'm going to hit Insert F7.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Accessibility feedback. 3 of 118.
Now there
items use the arrow keys.
There are all those links that just Google pulled up in one box. So I'm going to go down the list to find the Virginia Zoo.
Google image shop the tickets. The Virginia Zoo tickets.
And there you go, tickets.
Zoo reopening 2020-Virginia ... heading level 3 link visited. Zoo Gardens.
Now the page is open, so I'm going to search for a particular heading.
Select the form field .
So there you have Virginia Zoo COVID and operations. I'm going to hit enter on that.
Enter heading level 1 Virginia Zoo.
One way that I use JAWS on my computer is to type the scripts that we use for our Accommodations Edutainment original stage play productions. I type the scripts in Microsoft Word, and then Laquita takes them and edits them and formats them into a booklet form that we get printed for our cast. Laquita then works her magic with her directing, her keen sense for costuming, and her skillful set design to bring the play to life. And with the help of a talented cast and crew, the script goes from being words on a page to being productions like our annual Harambe for the Holiday stage productions or our other original stage play productions. A lot of times what I do is I take traditional folklore from around the world or fairy tales from around the world, and I put my own spin on them. That means I might write lyrics to a parody of parodies of songs that fit the motif of the story. I might also create new characters or design new characters that I plug into the story. So, for example, when we did the Three Pigs, Fractured Fairy Tales, a stage play production, instead of just having the three pigs and the mama pig and the big bad wolf, there was a mama wolf that was involved as part of the story as well. But then sometimes I do write original stage plays that are based on a popular character that I've heard of before, but then I just turn that into an original story, like a play that we did called From Pimp to Preacher, Peter Wheatstraw's Revival. I also use the JAWS Talking software program to manage our schedule by using Google Calendar and Gmail. And I use Google Calendar to schedule events for our family outings or to schedule events for our Atumpan Dance Theater. I also use Gmail to help coordinate those activities by communicating through email. If you found this information helpful or valuable, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That's how I get things done as a blind person who uses a computer, all thanks to Freedom Scientific software called JAWS.
In-person presentations vary from organization to organization. Whether your organization is presenting a training film for your staff, hosting a guest lecture, producing a stage play, or featuring a visual arts exhibit, considerations can be made for presenters and audience members who are differently abled. For live presentations, like stage plays or lectures, platforms and set pieces can be adapted to ensure that presenters or performers who are differently abled have their moments in the spotlight on the stage like everyone else. Making a ramp leading onto a platform or a set piece that is built wide enough for a wheelchair to enter can benefit other members of the presentation team by making entrances and exits more safe and more convenient. Narration provided by audio-described media makes the visual images of live theater, film presentations, and museum exhibitions accessible for those who are blind or have low vision. Audio description services use a one-way radio communication device. A vision-impaired audience member wears an earbud that is plugged into a receiver. A sighted person trained in audio description narration sits in a discrete location in its presentation space and is able to speak into a radio transmitter to describe what is occurring on stage or screen during natural pauses in the presentation. Sign language interpreters, handheld closed caption devices, or audio amplification devices similar to the audio description devices for the vision impaired are also available for people who are deaf or hard of hearing.
Universal communication.
Understanding that we are all differently able in some capacity helps us to shape the information we present to reach a wide variety of audiences. Your organization's staff, stakeholders, vendors, and customers all represent people who receive and process information differently. Thinking in terms of differently able helps us to recognize and reconsider that we are all born with cognitive differences that impact the way we learn. Some people learn by seeing, some people learn by doing, some people learn by hearing. It is up to anyone who is presenting information to find creative ways to relate to each type of learner. At Accommodations Edutainment, we relate to our diverse audiences through our PVC pipeline for learning. Accommodations PVC pipeline for learning is based on the educational theories of human communication experts John Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, and Noam Chomsky. Together, their theories state that people learn in different ways. In order to maximize learning in a group setting, information has to be contacted several times in several different ways. Here are some of the universal communication tips from Accommodations Edutainment's PVC pipeline for learning.
Engage your audience with call, response, participation. This helps to reinforce information because the audience is hearing the information in three ways. One from the presenter, a second from themselves, and a third time by hearing the voices of others around them. Use movement to reinforce concepts. Having your audience engage in movements specific to the concept you're presenting allows them to contact the information on two levels. Once by watching the presenter model the movements, and a second time when they model the movements themselves. Layer information. Each time you introduce a new concept or information in a presentation, recap information presented earlier before moving forward in the presentation. Get people involved as co-creators in the presentation. Utilizing your audience members as a part of the presentation draws everyone into the learning process as they enjoy watching other people create with you.
Wrap it up!
Marginalization goes beyond race, ethnicity, religion, or gender.
Marginalization unfairly pushes people to the fringes of society based on perceptions of what it means to be disabled,
instead of welcoming them into our environment based on their different abilities. Your organization can bring out that equity by remembering these 3 R's.
Recognizing the importance and benefits of providing accommodations for people with different abilities.
We're considering the fact that everyone has different abilities that may require accommodations in order for them to access your physical and digital environments.
Relating to people of all abilities in creative ways that encourage shared power.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Blind Guy,
His Wife,
and Their Life. People always ask me, how do I get things done when I can't see? And that's one of the reasons that we created the Blind Guy Olympics, which provides opportunities for people who can see to learn from someone who can't see and vice versa. But before we start, don't forget to bum rush the button.
Guys, you know what to do. If you are excited about the Blind Guy Olympics, give it a thumbs up. And of course, share it with someone. That way they might find the value in this episode as well. So Corey, let's get started. But why do you have that half-naked baby?
Oh, this half-naked baby is our latest grandchild. Basically, we're going to use this as part of our Blind Guy Olympic event today called the Baby Challenge. This will give people a chance to see how I got things done as a father who couldn't see when Laquita Marie wasn't home. How I fed the baby, changed the baby, and dressed the babies. So let's meet our 3 contestants, Crystal, Keena, and Stanford, and jump right into the action of the Baby Challenge.
All right, Corey, so here we are in round 1, and Everybody's ready. You just gave them their directions. Everybody's baby is laying on the table except for Stanford. He's actually cradling his baby, but once you had them go, Stanford laid the baby down. He started pouring the water across. He was actually pouring it over himself because I noticed he was spilling water out. Crystal and Keena looked like they were leaning on their babies while they were pouring the water.
Somebody called Dog Protective Services because they look like they put forearms in the baby's chest.
Yeah. Well, sort of like just the throat chop. But anyways, Stanford had his, so they had to feed the baby first. And they had to like put the water in the bottle. So he was the first, and then undress the baby so they wouldn't mess up the baby's clothes.
Yeah, I would always feed the children after I undressed them, so that way, whatever mess was made, I can wipe them off rather than having to put on a whole new set of clothes.
Oh, so that's why with this challenge they had to undress the baby before feeding.
Right.
Okay, so Stanford got his clothes off first. Crystal was coming in close second, not super close, and Keena was just scrambling. She was in a distant third at this point, but she was getting it.
I think part of the problem is because when the children that were simulating the baby cry in the back, that puts pressure on you. And I know when I was a new father with infants and they would be crying, I would get kind of frantic right along with them and try to rush. But my mother and my grandmother always said, there's not a baby yet that's died from crying because that's what they're built to do. They're built to cry, to communicate. So once I just settled down and started taking my time and making their food, realizing I know the problem, they want to eat, let me get the food together and get it to them, I would go ahead and take my time and make less of a mess. And I would always do things over the sink, or try to do things over the sink as much as possible in case I made a mess. And I never did anything with the baby in my arm because that's a recipe for disaster, especially when they're reaching for stuff, when they get to that age where they can move and reach for stuff. And for a blind person doing something with one hand, that's not a good idea.
Not at all. All right, let's see what happens next. All right, so as soon as we get into this part of the competition, Crystal is wiping her baby's face with the wipe. It's supposed to be a baby wipe. We were using napkins. They told her that her baby was getting doused because she was giving 2 spoonfuls of food, water. Stanford is following close behind. Keena is gaining speed as well. She's feeding her baby.
Yeah, and Keena's doing it laying down, so baby alive is probably baby dead because she's probably choked the baby. I never fed the babies laying down with this, so don't even look at me thinking that I did that, and she got that from me.
Okay, all right. Well, she started with the baby cradle. It got too difficult, so she laid the baby down. Stanford put water on his wipe to make it more realistic. He's wiping front to back, but then his baby started doing a handstand because he was showing off, and that's how Crystal started to gain on him. She is getting into first place right here because her diaper is off. He's playing games with the wife.
So let's see how it goes once they hit the home stretch.
All right, Corey, so as we get into the home stretch here, Crystal and Stanford are both getting their dolls' dresses on, or their baby's dresses on, but Keena is throat chopping her doll.
Again, someone called Dog Protective Services.
I don't know what's going on. She's trying to get the diaper off. Keena is throat chopping the baby to hold her still while she tries to get the tabs off the diaper. What's Crystal and Stanford are still straightening out their dresses when, Keena got the diaper off. She figured out just to slide it down, and that's when she starts to diaper her baby. Stanford, Crystal is patting her baby on the back for the win.
Yeah, it's pretty much a wrap at this point. Crystal gets the gold medal, Stanford gets the bronze medal, or the silver medal, I should say, and Keena, she gets like a piece of wood. I don't know if she ever finished getting the baby dressed the same, so Keena gets the wood medal.
Well, let's go on. Let's see how we wrap it up. All right, Corey, that was a lot of fun. Crystal got the gold, Stanford got the silver,
and Keena got the wood.
Keena was proud. Keena finished. She came in third. She got her baby's dress on, inside out, but hey, she got it done. She completed it. So show us how you used to feed our kids, because I would express milk, but if I wasn't home, it would be in a bottle.
The bottle would be pre-made. I would warm it up. It's all about having clean hands. So because you have to touch the baby's mouth, and you find the baby's mouth, the corner of their mouth, and they'll usually turn their heads to the bottle. I would hold them at a pretty much the same angle that we would hold them at nursing. That way I knew they wasn't going down their throat too fast. So that's how I would do the bottles. Now, when it came to the food, they were a little bit older. They were sitting up. So I would sit them in front of me like this, and I put my arm across them because, of course, their little hands are waving around. They were 6, 7, 8 months old by the time I'm feeding them food. So it's the same thing. Gotta have clean hands. I get the cup as close to them as possible, and I take the spoon, tap it out. I locate their mouth. We had greedy babies, so they would actually help. They would start like pulling the spoon, my hand with the spoon towards their mouth. I'm like, wait a minute now. And that's why I would always take the clothes off before I fed them, because it could tend to be a mess. Bottom line for me is, yes, it's possible for somebody that's blind to independently take care of a baby. I did it, got 3 kids, nobody's dead. They're all still here, right?
I mean, I guess if that's your measurement of success, you did have a chance to catch up with the contestants. So let's hear what they all thought.
I was really confident because I figured I had 3 kids. One is still in Pampers, that I was a pro at changing Pampers and feeding the baby, so I thought, I was good.
Well, after 20 years in the Army, I'm trained for anything, and I proved myself today.
But you lost.
I lost because she cheated. My baby had a wet diaper to the butt. All luxuries that the baby needs.
I had a fairly high confidence. I don't have any kids, but I have 2 nieces and a nephew, so I thought I would at least do better than Stanford. That was my goal.
I was pretty confident before anybody did the competition, and then when I saw the adults like struggling, I was like, oh no.
What about you, Kai?
I couldn't see if it was inside out or backwards.
What about you, Christiana? What's the hardest thing for you to do blindfolded for the baby?
Put on a diaper, definitely. I had to turn the baby on her head and fasten the diaper. Put them on like pants.
Your baby's instead of a baby alive, your baby's a dead alive.
Brooklyn, how confident were you going into this competition that you'd be able to successfully feed, change, and dress a baby while being blindfolded?
I was really confident. I thought I was going to get it the first time. And I thought I was going to do it and it was going to be really easy.
When I got the blindfold on, I was like, wait, what? And it was just hard, so. And putting on this diaper was pretty hard.
What about for you, Brooklyn?
And the hardest part was feeding the baby.
Is it helpful to have somebody there coaching you along?
I wouldn't even know what I was doing if without a coach, because he was talking, helping me out. Taking care of a baby is hard, but it's harder like when you can't see.
Oh, now to change this. Did you even little dark?
Shiloh has a unique way of. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Blind Guy Olympics, the Baby Challenge. Corey, this hopefully answered a lot of questions because people would always ask you, how do you take care of the kids? How do you feed the kids? How do you know if they're asleep? Hope this was valuable information for you.
Now, if you found this information valuable, somebody else can find some value in this too. So make sure that you share this information with them. Don't forget to bum rush the button.
Oh, bum rush. In other words, like hit them hard. Go hit the like button. Share this information with someone else. Subscribe to the channel. This way you won't miss any content.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of A Blind Guy,
His Wife,
and Their Life. Goodbye.